everybody. So this session will be in English because John and Megan come from Seattle to talk to us about compassion games and leadership for diversities. Let's begin with a little game. So wake you up, everybody. Wake you up. Yeah, wake you up, please. Levez-vous tous, merci.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say je suis heureuse d'être ici. Et okay, on y va. So you pick a partner next to you, your neighbor. One of you will be A and one of you will be B. A, your job is to tell B something you're incredibly passionate about. It could be anything. And B, your job is to ignore A at all costs. Okay? We're going to do this for 1 minute. Go.
Take some pictures.
Okay. Tell me when you think it's enough. Tell me when you think it's enough.
We didn't say that it would last for 1 minute.
I did.
Okay. Maybe 10 seconds.
Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you. Ignorers, you were great. You were awesome. Now we're going to switch. And B, this time you're going to tell A something you're incredibly excited about. And A, this time your job is to criticize and dismiss B using all of your creativity. Okay, go. Tell me when you think they've had enough.
I think it's enough.
Yeah, now?
What do you think?
I know, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, great. Great. Great job, criticizers. Okay, so now let's switch back again. And A, let's tell B the same thing. And B, this time your job is to be fully present and listen with every bone in your body and respond to what they're saying. Go.
So after that, you say something about this game?
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. I ask you.
Yeah, I can, when we sit down, I can say it, you know, so if you want. It just
Say
depends.
Why we
Yeah.
Why we do this game? Just 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. You can be seated. Can you hold that down?
Yeah. No, let's see. Okay. Caroline. No. Caroline, come a little closer. Caroline, come closer. I want you in the video.
Megan, would you say just a word about this little game? Why do we did that?
Don't you have a microphone? No, I don't have
Yeah.
Yeah. So this game, this consciousness game, is interesting because it allows us to experience what it's like to be a perpetrator and a victim of unconscious bias, and then at the end, what it feels like to be fully present in our best selves. And the first time I experienced this, I remembered immediately, because we learned through experience, how many times I'd been criticized and dismissed my life. But what I hadn't remembered until I did the exercise is how many times I was doing it. So that was humbling.
Thank you, Megan. The lack of equality and diversity around the world compel us to talk about leadership for diversity. Leadership for Diversity is an emerging network. It was created 3 months ago, right?
In July.
And so it's an emerging network across industries. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's okay. So, John.
It's focused on what's championing leadership for the greater good.
Exactly.
Basically.
Exactly. John, your Compassion Games, that is your organization.
This is the survival of the kindest.
Yeah. So your Compassion Games joined Megan lately. Yeah. Can you tell us why? And can you give us some background concerning Compassion Games?
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine a really more important topic right now than the issue of diversity. And the question of how a world inspired now by artificial intelligence is going to reimagine itself and human intelligence and creative intelligence. When I met Megan and realized her passion for bringing diversity into the gaming world, as well as many other industries, it fit perfectly with what we've seen with the Compassion Games. We've served over 15 million people with over thousands of teams in 40 countries around the world, where people are using the power of games, like serious games, to do the work that needs to happen to create a world of loving kindness and compassion. So I wonder how we imagine a future and our role in that future, where the digitalization of the world is creating unprecedented events for us, but leadership, especially now, especially in the United States with what's happened recently with Harvey Weinstein.
And others.
And
Many
others. This issue about human intelligence and creative intelligence. They say often the best way to predict the future is to invent the future. So we're here to challenge all of us at this moment in time to imagine how we can be the best selves that we can be in the world, to address the challenges that need to bring us together, and how the power of games can inspire us to make that kind of difference. So that's why I'm speaking out for leadership for diversity, inspired by what Megan has started, and in challenging all of us to take a stand for a different kind of world. We're kind of seeing the hospicing of the old and the midwifing of something new that isn't really quite clear yet. And this is something that needs us to think together. And I want to honor Laurent and recognize how important it is to have this conversation and that wisdom it took to be able to bring this topic forward to this community at this time.
Will you play the video?
Yeah, I want to show you a video of how the Compassion Games can change culture. You're going to see the games played in a prison and in high school with remarkable results with teams all over the world. So let's play this first short little video to give you some clarity about what we're talking about.
Okay, this video is so inspiring and shows us how compassion can change the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your collective banner, which is just here, and a quote just below. I will read it. Becoming a real human being is the most important leadership issue of our time, but on a scale never required before. Megan, what does become a real human being, and can you tell us why does it matter?
Well, to me, becoming a real human being is about evolving ourselves by raising our consciousness to embody our best selves more consistently. And that involves combining our analytical intelligence, our thinking, with our creative intelligence, our innate knowing, to unleash our full human potential and our full human intelligence. And that's really what Leadership for Diversity is all about. The idea is, you see the world around us, and we are the solution. And so we all need to transform ourselves. We all need to become better leaders. So why do it alone? Why not support each other in the process?
Right. We say that we can connect through our similarity and innovate through our diversity, so that the differences that we have, we can listen past those differences and really derive the value from learning from each other and supporting each other in learning.
And it's really about flipping leadership on its head. You know, we've been leading here, not necessarily supported here. This is about leading with heart intelligence, creative intelligence, in partnership with analytical intelligence. And so, you know, we've been making money. That's been our focus. This is about making meaning and money in that order.
And when we say leadership, we just don't mean management.
Everyone's a
Saying,
leader.
yes,
We're all
everyone.
leaders.
That's right, that's right. And leaders invent games and seduce people to play those games. And we as a community can invent new kinds of games that don't just have win-lose, but there are win-win games. They say that there are finite games and infinite games. In an infinite game, you don't play within the boundaries, you play with the boundaries. So this is a challenge to all of us to move the boundaries, the limits of the possible, with all these incredible technologies are emerging. How can we use these tools to create the kind of world we want to live in and be the kind of people we want to be and relate to each other in the ways we want to relate to each other? This is the challenge, and this is the moment for us to step forward.
Okay. Now, companies seem to be in panic, putting some diversity quotas or some other tactics in place. Do you think it's working?
Well, you know, Colleen, you recently started Push Start, right?
Yep.
Talk about the reality of the women in the gaming community in France, right? That this was something that you realized was a huge challenge here. Yeah. What inspired you to want to do that?
I think mainly because I'm a woman and I work in the video games industry. I'm also a feminist, so I wanted to act in the video games field, but it could have been in another field, but I'm involved in the video games industry, so that's where I want to act now.
Yeah. No, Laurent was telling us, we talked about this, that quotas are not really going to fix the problem. You have to go back to the schooling, really at a young age, that recognizes the power and opportunity for women to play a role and what they can. And if you don't know this about Meg, she invented and brought the Nancy Drew stories to video games. She's a leader in this space who recognized the challenge of being a woman in that space.
And per your question, the diversity, it's every company in the world is focused on, if they're, you know, if they're smart, on figuring out how to create true diversity. And but the root cause of the lack of diversity is unconscious bias, which is a blind spot. It's a bad habit we all have, and it prevents us from genuinely welcoming diverse people, perspectives, and products. So while external tactics like, quotas of hiring women and things like that, that's great, but it has to go hand in hand with transforming ourselves. Otherwise, it's just a Band-Aid. We upgrade computers when they're not functioning at their maximum capacity. Why wouldn't we do it to ourselves, right? And recent science has proven that the heart affects our reality stronger than the brain. So the call to action is to learn how to lead with it.
And play is such a powerful space to get out of our comfort zones, into our stretch zones. Doesn't have to be our panic zone. But in play that we can learn. Our learning can be our playing, and our playing can be our learning.
Well,
so the game community can really bring a new generation of games that empower us to act in ways that are more compassionate and kind and more inclusive.
And that's the exciting thing about it, because creative leadership, heart intelligence, leading with the heart, is love in action, which is the definition of play. So we're in an industry all about play. So imagine the possibilities. And there are so many games out there doing this now that are incredibly inspiring. But as we collectively make this shift, because the traditional leadership is dead, it's broken. And so we are pioneering, all of us, this new way of being, this new way of leading, and it's all about play.
There's a Chinese proverb. It says, if we don't change our direction, we're likely to wind up where we're headed. And I think that's part of the unique moment for this generation, to start to use these new limits of the possible that are changing with these tools, to invent the kind of people and being in the kind of communities. The compassion games are really the antidote to the Hunger Games. And that's how it started, with the mayor of Louisville, Kentucky, challenging the city of Seattle, saying they were the most compassionate city in the world. And by the way, they're a sister city of Montpellier. So here we're going to have the city play in the compassion games, be one of many, many cities around the world that are waking up and saying that we can culture hack, to use games as a powerful way to get people engaged in doing the service and teaching our kids what it is to go beyond being so self-absorbed, but to be more community-centric and minded in our civic lives.
And so we've joined forces just in the last 3 months. So, Laurent, when he called to ask me to speak, he joined Leadership for Diversity, and so did Caroline, and I encourage you, if this interests you, to join. And what you do, it's a commitment to become better leaders and support each other in the process. And we have a repository of inspiring 21st century leadership approaches and books and TED Talks and mindfulness techniques that everyone who signs up contributes to. So it's collective intelligence at its best. And the other piece is, when you add your name to the site, then we write you back and give you a PDF of the business card with your name on it, because this is a collective network and a community. And the only way, we have 300 people now, but imagine if everybody became an ambassador for this and started spreading the word. So that's our ask, if this interests you.
Yeah, encourage everybody to step forward. It's nice to be the kind of the token white guy, male, sitting up here in this conversation, which is often dismissed. Oh, love and compassion, these are soft subjects. But I think that we're realizing we're getting wise enough to know that's not the case. And that may it be that this 39th annual summit be a turning point for this conversation, and we come back here in the years to come and see more and more diversity and inclusivity and transformation happening in the institutions that we live and work in, and the way that we are on this planet.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
How much ambassadors have you now in leadership for diversity?
Well, in the Compassion Games, we've served over 15 million people. There's a report map. The teams that play post there what they did. We count the number of volunteers, the hours of service, the number of people served, the money. We've raised over $200 million to support local causes. Now, we're just the platform upon which the teams are doing this. So I just want to give credit where it's due. The Compassion Games is just the resource upon which communities all over the world are rising at this time. But Leadership for Diversity is the opportunity. We want to make sure that each of you sign up and say, okay, I'm willing to bring this into my life and into the institutions and organizations I'm involved with.
Because we can learn so much from each other. You know, to make the journey from the head to the heart is not all that easy, but everyone will do it differently. And we're probably late on time, but I want to hear, Caroline is doing such amazing work with Push Start and Women in Games. So can you talk about that a little, and then we'll end with a film.
Okay, I will be short. So first of all, I'm involved in Push Start, the local non-profit organization which gathers video game creators and students. And I'm also the Montpellier ambassador of Women in Games France, non-profit organization too, and the goal of this organization is to double the number of women in the video games industry in France. So we want to pass from 15% now to 30% in 10 years. So we have a lot of actions. I invite you to go to the website of Women in Games to see what we are doing. And if you're interested to act here in Montpellier for this cause, so you can join us, and you're highly welcome.
And we need men to partner with us to make this happen, to really welcome women into the workforce across industries.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see
I will play the trailer, and I've already said that to John and Megan, but I really want to organize a compassion games in Montpellier, maybe next year. So if you're interested, come to me.
And one more thing. We have handouts of some of the leadership tips on the site, and also a printout of that, so that you can take both home and see if it interests you. Okay, can we play the video, please?
I'm searching for.
Cool.
Merci beaucoup.
If you have questions.
We have no more time, in fact. So, if you want to discuss with Megan and John, don't hesitate to join and to visit the website as well, to send an emails, to speak about this wonderful program. Many veterans of the industry asked John, yet it's wonderful to see Brenda Romero and so on. So that's really great to do that. Thank you. So thank you so much for coming for us to explain what is leadership for diversity. Thank you so much. Il y a une exposition organisée par DigiXar à la bibliothèque Federico Fellini à partir de 19h avec des œuvres imprimées sur toile exposées de plusieurs studios de développement de la région. Donc c'est à partir de 19h. Je tenais également à remercier la métropole qui accompagne cet événement depuis ses débuts. Donc merci de la confiance de la métropole et ma foi pourvu que ça dure. Je vous invite donc à revenir l'année prochaine, la 3e semaine du mois de novembre. Merci, au revoir.